Right.
Because they're saying like the medical profession says like 6% and all that.
Yeah, 40 to 60 nanograms per deciliter is the range. But I'm a little wary of that because that's the range that keeps you just not sick. Remember our first conversation? Would you prefer to be just not sick, or would you prefer to be healthy?
How they test it.
Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes
exactly.
with the, you know,
Yeah,
my naturopath has me at 10,000
absolutely.
units a day. And I've
Love
been on
that
that for
person.
years and years.
Perfect. So up to the 80s nanograms per deciliter, that's the healthy range.
It
That's
takes
where
a
you
while to get up to that.
definitely.
Because I've gone from 21 to 48%. So it's just, it takes time.
It's great. And then obviously other sources are fruits and vegetables. Okay, everyone all right with that? So just some specific things, don't get too carried away in this because, you know, there's some strontium, whoever talks about that, or boron. These are just sort of trace minerals that are available in green leafies, nuts, seeds, fruits, and berries. Nature will provide the things that you need in the quantities that you need them if you're eating what nature provides. Okay, so not to worry about too much about these things. And then just, yeah, okay, we can read all that. Vitamin D, that's what we feed our 9-month-old. Technically, as adults, we're up to the 5,000 to 10,000 minimum range for this particular climate and absence of the sun. We get UVB light from the sun is what synthesizes vitamin D in the skin. We only get UVB light from the sun when it's close to us. It changes the wavelength, and that's what allows our bodies. We only get that 6 to 8 weeks a year.
Oh, and we may not be standing there in our swimsuit.
Or completely naked. Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Go stand out. My chiropractor told me to stand out. Get as much vitamin D as possible. Here I am.
If you
for
do
20
that,
minutes.
if you do that, can I give you some business cards?
Totally.
You're
gonna change the world.
Karen. Cool. Bone building essentials. So this is just more specifics. You probably somewhat heard of this stuff. Vitamin B is very important. Lycopene, probably heard of those things. But I would just want to pause on fish oil because this is one of the simplest things that you can consume in a cost-effective way, because there are wonderful products out there that actually basically squeeze a fish and put it in a capsule the way that the fish was designed to be ingested in a way and with the balance appropriate. So things that we'll talk about all of that fun stuff later. Here's the fun thing. Now, from a chiropractor, the only thing that is important to us is how your nervous system's working. Okay, and then obviously how your body is responding, changing, growing, and developing. Your nervous system is 60% omega-3 fat. Yeah, 60%. Over half of it is from omega-3s. So in order for us to have healthy, successful, well-nourished, and balanced nervous systems, we need an outside-in source to produce the proper function of the nervous system that we need. Here's the other fun thing. It also buffers, well, it doesn't buffer the blood. It provides a more alkaline environment for your blood system. So, yeah, so that's another important factor to consider when you're consuming this and when you're investing in your choices to consume fish oil.
So how many milligrams, Dr. Delisle told me how much she takes.
Yeah.
She told me this a long time ago, and I can't remember. It was a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know how much?
Again, if you remember the
She
5...
told me, I can't remember, but it was like 7 or 8 times more than what I take.
Definitely.
A day.
Yep. And if you remember 5,000 to 10,000, that'll suit your needs well when it comes to both vitamin D and fish oil. They have different units. Vitamin D is IUs, international units, and fish oil is milligrams. So, but just remember that range. Each tablet in a really good quality product will have about 1,000.
What about krill?
Best source, but I worry about...
Omega red, they say it doesn't taste it.
I think I was taking 1, and she said I take like 7.
Yeah, yeah, between 5. So each one is about 1,000 times that, however many you need. Krill, I worry a little because that's what the whales eat. So, you know.
Oh yeah,
oils.
Sure.
So anyway, there's an environmental aspect to health and well-being that we have to consider, that we can't just go and, you know, harvest the planet without thinking about it. Okay, everyone all right with that? Foods to avoid: anything that creates an acidic environment, and these are the big ones: sugar, meat-based, pop, that sort of thing. Okay. Cheeses, lunch meats are devastating, not only with nitrites, which are cancer causers, but they're just packed with preservatives and things that basically become free radicals and are acidic in your bloodstream. Sugar is a big one out there. The intake of sugar creates a response in your body that causes you just to basically excrete as much calcium as possible to balance what's happening within your bloodstream. So your kidneys just go into panic mode, and they just excrete a ton of this calcium. Obviously it makes it unavailable for you and for building, and also for muscle contractions and for brain function.
Is that for refined sugar only or natural sugar too?
Sugar
Like
that
a
is
lot of fruits, for example.
yeah. Fructose is a disaccharide, so
Okay.
it doesn't spike. It's also in its fiber form, so it's slow and time released. It's handled and managed by the body a little bit more. I think we consume a little bit too many fruits and vegetables versus, fruits versus vegetables. We should probably flip the ratio, in my understanding of how patients come in. They definitely are healthy in the amount of food that they eat, but it really should be tipped 3/4 veg to 1/4 fruit.
Okay.
Yeah. And in the summer, eat things from southern climates. In the winter, eat things from northern climates. So we're well endowed with pears and plums and apples. It's Honeycrisp apple season. The greatest time of the year right now
Best
is
apples in
Honeycrisp
the
apple
world.
season. And you know, they're basically a northern offshoot of apple species. So we're well endowed here. We're very, very lucky to have, you know, local foods like that. Good. Salt, huge. So these lunch meats are.
Can I go back to one thing with the
Yep.
fish? Isn't there a danger of all these farms and antibiotics and all the stuff
I don't
that
eat
we give the
anything farm
fish?
raised.
When it comes to the fish oils, how do you know that is the good oil?
Thank
Good
you.
fish that distracted.
Yep. Thank you for bringing that up. Farm raised, avoid it like the plague. You must ask. One serving of farm tilapia will permanently damage your brain and nervous system for your life. That's how toxic it is. And one serving of farm-raised salmon does the same outcome per month. It's less dense because salmon's a little, they are deeper than a tilapia. Tilapia is a surface fish that's in warm waters, which bioaccumulates more toxic. But salmon prefer, they come up in rivers and streams obviously for spawning, but they are relatively deeper. They're not going to take the surface pollutants in as densely. Plus sockeye is non-predatorial, so it doesn't eat other fish. It's a vegetarian. So it's not going to bioaccumulate the toxic waste from other species that have been eaten by other species and so forth. Okay, but thank you for bringing that up. Really ask those questions. That's incredibly important to ask about farm raised.
Well, in any good place that sells fish will say farm raised or not farm, wild caught.
They will. PCC doesn't sell farm raised fish
Yes, they
at
do.
all.
And they don't,
They
oh
do.
good.
They do now?
I was in Edmonds and they had farm raised.
Wow, I'm
Okay,
surprised.
that's terrible.
Too bad.
So anyway.
One more question too,
Yes.
related to that. So if you're taking a fish oil supplement, where does the oil come from? Does it come from farm raised fish or?
That's what we have to ask. So that's when, come to us, phone us up. The brands that we advocate
Depends
here.
on how you choose.
Yep, they should be professional brands, pharmaceutical grade, and from a healthcare provider. Except when there's a brand that I'll tell you about that you can buy in the marketplace, but doesn't come with the same clinical concentration. But it's available to the public. We'll talk about that. But my vote is spend money on these supplements. It's an investment, and you will just not know yourselves after accumulating this stuff, the storehouses in your body of these things. Supplements, whatever you ingest, spend money on. This is the other 40-40. 40 years ago, it's actually 50 now, but when I started this talk, it was only 40. 50 years ago, we used to spend 40% of our income on food. What do you think we spend now? Less than 5. So it just means the quality of food has gone down, and our prioritizing of food choices has also gone down. So let's try and get
And
back.
healthy food is cheaper.
Exactly. Why?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's subsidized by the government. There's a corn subsidy that goes into feeding cows that produces Coca-Cola. We're subsidizing Coke. Isn't that
That's
disgraceful?
The Coke Mafia.
Our tax money. Anyway, this isn't a political conversation. Okay, so now we're going to get into some, drug therapies that are out there that are going to go against bone health. Okay, hormone replacement therapies. Look into this stuff. It's really frightening how that's affected bone density. And Fosamax is, I think, the most common bone density drug on the market at the moment, or Vandia, I can't remember the two, but
And there's a difference in hormone replacement therapy between synthetic and bioidentical.
yes.
Major
Okay,
difference.
I don't know much about that, but yeah, that's good to hear. Thank you for that information.
Bioidenticals are basically the protein, the chemical, the
Yeah.
compound is identical to the compound in the body, whereas synthetic is synthesized, not identical.
Right.
So the body looks at it,
Mhm.
and says what is almost like a foreign
Right,
substance.
thank you. Do you want to?
No, no, I've been doing
I- yeah.
bioidentical hormone replacement, and I did a lot of research
Okay.
about the differences.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
so, just simple.
Just be careful. What else is there to really say? And the reason why is it actually stops the bone breaking down process. So if you need calcium from the bone, your body goes, okay, well, I need to buffer blood, and it goes to the bone for calcium. The bones will not let it go. Remember, calcium's not just for bone density, it's also for muscle contraction. Every muscle requires calcium in order to allow it to contract. So if that calcium's not available in the bloodstream, well, that's when you get heart-related issues. Because guess what the heart is? Probably one of the most powerful, other than your tongue, one of the most powerful muscles in your body. Requires calcium in the blood in order to allow that to happen. Bit of an endocrinology lesson here, but okay. Warning signs, postural misalignments, fractures on X-ray. Basically, X-ray is a really good screening tool for that. We take a lot of it in our profession, so we get to see a lot of film. We get to, obviously see the impact that bone density loss will have, because obviously it comes in X-ray. So. Posture is enormously important for bone density. So. How you age is up to you. Solutions. Now we're back to this one. So we're on this journey in this conversation to get back to the choices that you can make to empower yourselves to have not only healthier joints and healthier bones, but also a healthier existence, because the choices you make in this concept will affect not only your bones and joints, but will affect how well your body lives, thrives, processes information, and adapts to the environment. That's really what health is, adaptability. So if we take these aspects, analyze it, and try and fill in the spaces to complete each one of this wellness triad, that's our solution. So, that's low, and it should be IUs. Weight training. The most successful way to improve bone density is weight training. Weight-bearing activity. Okay, so anything you can do to get your body under the weight of gravity, your body will build bone accordingly. Look how amazing it is in focusing on areas of pressure. Who gardeners in here? Yeah. What happens in the gardening season to these areas of your knuckles?
Calluses.
Callus.
Calluses.
What is a callus?
Built for skin.
Right, why?
Because it's injured and
Potential.
re-injured and re-injured and
Right.
re-injured.
Your body's innate intelligence goes, I need to put more there because I'm using it a lot. Isn't that magical? So the nervous system's saying, okay, well, let's put more stuff there. Apply that same concept to bone, and you know, we're going to get somewhere in terms of bone health. Okay? Obviously, adjusting triggers bone formation. Wonderful research on that out these days. Making sure you're properly aligned. We're going to get to some dietary recommendations, but also, it's a later slide, but keeping your diet acidic, away from the acid foods and more towards the alkaline foods, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. We talked about the pH stuff earlier, so I jumped ahead a little bit. And where we come in here is, in order for you to absorb food, your gut needs to be communicated to. The things that affect the so what tells the gut what to do all the time? Brain, spinal cord, nervous system. Right? So what are the things that affect that? Well, we call them a subluxation, but it's a stress overabundance of the nervous system that stops communicating to the digestive system. Poor postures affect that. We'll see a scoliosis that affects how nerves communicate and regulate. But keeping that information and connection to the gut alive is incredibly important. So that's, you all are in here for that. Okay. Do you think, which side of this X-ray is getting more pressure?
Right,
The
so
right side,
Think so?
more pressure.
Your entire weight bearing has gone to the left side of your body.
But
So you're saying the concavity there, because it's compressed on that side?
you know, that's in the-
Let me ask this a different way. Are both sides of the spine receiving the same amount of pressure?
No.
Right. So do you think one side receiving less pressure is going to, what is the innate intelligence of your body going to do? This side receiving less pressure,
it's gonna lose bone.
yep. Remember, calluses. This side, more to well it up.
And it's gonna gain bone
Right.
on the other side.
Exactly. What about the hips? You think they're going to have the same weight bearing? No. So alignment is incredibly important for bone health. Ways for us to analyze how effectively the nervous system is working is basically through scanning technology. Most people in here have had that. It's a way to analyze how effectively your nervous system is regulating your gut function, the absorption of those nutrients. It's also a way to determine whether the nervous system is regulating the movement of your body, muscle imbalances that cause weight distribution that are asymmetrical. These are all interpreted from scanning technology, which is really amazing. It wasn't around 15 years ago. Now we get a chance to see how your body's working from the inside out, specifically in terms of how your bone and your structural foundation is working. We get a lot of insight from that information. Okay, any questions? So I want to celebrate tonight. I want to extend a bit of a gift to guests and anybody who's here. Our supplements here are, I just want to take 15% off if you want to get some. We can talk about them. If you get the system that we have of a multivitamin, a greens powder, and fish oil, if they're all three combined, you take another 10% off that. We're not here as a supplement shop. We want people to have them. We want people to have access to them. That sort of sounds like I'm a multi-level marketer, but we undersell everybody because we're not here to put our children through college by selling supplements. We want people to have them because it makes your care in here far more successful. So keep that in mind. I'll extend that. If anyone wants some, let me know. I'll write your names down, and we've got a few orders coming through. The other is guests. Feel free to jump on a complimentary scan so we can see whether nervous system is working properly, and then we can have a report of those findings, and that's on us. So please feel free to talk to me, Vanessa, if you want to at the end, and we'll figure that out. Okay? you know, one of the things we were talking about last night in preparation for this talk is, can you imagine that you work your entire life, you start off, you learn, you move into your profession, you start working and working, and in that process you're accumulating wealth, you're accumulating finances and experiences, but also in that period of time, you lose sight of health. You lose sight of the choices that you're supposed to make. And you get to a point in your life where you no longer have to work, but in that period of time, you perhaps have not focused on what's required for your body. You wake up in the morning, you can't move, you can't enjoy yourself, your health is depleted. That's tragic to me, that it really is. Our genetic makeup is designed to live to 120 years old. Let's focus on that and not lose sight of those pieces along the way that's going to require us to live the life that we want. So, thank you all for coming. And just as a side note, please feel free to pass these talks on to your friends and family. We do them by donation, and the donation goes towards the Healthy City Strategy, the Shoreline Healthy City Strategy. So,
What is that exactly?
well, we live in the greatest city in the state. The city council here is incredibly focused on health and well-being, and they have a healthy city strategy where they pump money into ways to get people to move, work out, be active, be outside, building parks and trails and all of this stuff in the community in order to force us to have more of a wellness culture. We had a 5K event that we ran last May, and all of the money was funneled into that program. I meet with the city council all the time because we're just trying to find ways to get our community active, especially children. It's incredibly important to us now that we have kids. And, so that's where that comes from. But all of this stuff really is just filtered into that. We want to try and serve our community a little bit more, get it healthier and moving. So I'm here again. I scheduled until about midnight, so I'm here. Yeah. We're up 4 times a night anyway. Any questions, any comments, any concerns, anything that I can help you with?
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. So I was diagnosed with the indigestion acid reflux thing, and they put me on Prilosec.
Yeah.
I know it's bad, I know I want to get off it, but I've been on it for a couple of years, and I can't figure out how to get off of it. So I guess I'm just kind of looking for some advice of how you would approach that.
Sure. Well, working with getting off medication is certainly, as my disclaimer, work with your medical doctor on that.
Yeah.
Secondly, based on what you've heard tonight, there's lots of different layers that we have to go in.
Mm-hmm.
To a carpenter, everything is a nail. To a chiropractor, it's all about how your nervous system is relating and integrating and sending information to and from the digestive tract. How food is absorbed. Also, how well your nervous system is balancing the chemistry of your blood. How it's regulating internal function. In a program called Nature, you can probably Google this, but all the organs in your body are designed to support your brain and your nervous system. That's how amazing the brain and the nervous system is. So that's what I would be looking at. I would be looking at how well your alignment is and how well it's regulating nervous system function, connection to the gut. We'd also be looking at your nutrition. I mean, how are you supplying and allowing your nervous system, the proper supply of bacteria, good bacteria, and so forth. So it'd be multifactorial, but again, many diseases, few causes. Your particular expression of how stress is impacting your body is coming through your gut. When we implement these changes, we're not implementing them to decrease the symptoms of your gut. We're implementing them to expand the health and well-being and control of your body. Because you guys tell me, do drugs heal? Does Prilosec heal the body? What heals the body? The body heals the body. right? 100% of the time. So that's what we need to look at. We take an approach where how do we make your body healthier such that it regulates things better, diseases disappear. Yeah.
And I noticed you didn't mention probiotics, but
Great. We are a million times depleted in probiotic than our hunter-gatherer ancestors, or than our genes actually require. So a good probiotic we can talk about. It's absolutely essential. Probably one of the top 4 things that you can consume, and every North American needs to consume it, because it synthesizes a lot of things, particularly vitamin B, certain vitamin B12, cobalamin. We can consume it from food, but it's synthesized by bacteria in the gut. So it's amazingly important for nervous system function. Yeah. So my suggestion is come on in and we'll scan you and we can talk.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Feel free to jump on that. Everyone okay? Jan, you okay? We went much longer than I had anticipated, so I apologize, but hopefully
Great information.
good. I'm glad.
Good.
So
Can I make
stay
a
tuned.
suggestion?
Yes.
Have you guys seen a film called Food Matters?
Yes.
It's on Netflix.
We just saw
You
it
should see it, everybody
last
should see it.
week.
We'll do that.
Food
Probably going to
matters.
be our first one.
That should be a really, it's a good one.
That'll be our first one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Like, and
just taste.
That is really good. I wanna,
You got the whole jug. I
No.
can't drink all this on my own.
um.
We're moving into your car.
Just wash it out and bring it back at your next appointment.
It's okay.
Isn't it?
It's okay.
Not bad. It's not, it's not. Not a
I
nice
think you
glass
put
of
a little
lemonade.
lemon juice, but then that's acidic, right?
Well, it alkalizes in your blood. It's acidic in your gut, in your stomach,
Oh.
which is exactly what you want.
Ah.
So that's the other thing. Substitute Prilosec with gargling with apple cider vinegar.
When I
Gargle but don't swallow it?
Swallow, gargle, swallow.
Oh,
Coat
okay.
the entire GI.
Oh.
Yeah, I started doing that and it made a huge difference. When I started going to the acupuncturist and I'd had that
Yeah.
the situation with my gut, that was the one thing that he said was, if you think that you have too much acid, but more than likely you don't have enough. And if you get heartburn and try vinegar, see if it makes a difference.
Yeah,
And it made
makes it better.
such a difference.
You know, because the philosophy out there is to move away from acid. That's not what you want. You want to move towards it. The challenge is the reflux component comes from Helicobacter pylori. Has that been discussed with you before? Yeah. It's an unnatural bacteria in the gut that causes the sphincter to relax. That's what causes the reflux back up. So it's an imbalance in gut bacteria, as well as a movement away from acid. So lots of things nutritionally you could do, but my focus would be on you can inject apple cider vinegar directly into your stomach, unless the nervous system is there to regulate its function. It's not as effective. It's your body